Excellency, the Consul General of Japan in Karachi, Mr. Toshikazu Isomura, the Chief Guest, Mr. S.M. Munir, the respected Editor-in-Chief of Pakistan Observer, Mr. Faisal Zahid Malik, and the respected CEO Chairman, Pakistan-Japan Business Forum, Mr. Sohail B. Ahmed, distinguished guests. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. Bilateralism is like a marriage without the option of a civil divorce. When countries fall out of a healthy bilateral relationship, they often go to war. In the same stride, the balance of trade is a barometer of who in this relationship has given more to the other. Ironically, though, in a $2 billion US trade basket, 1/3 is what Pakistan gives Japan, and 2/3 is what it receives from them. The balancing of the scales is a crisis of equality between the first world and the so-called, and the third world so assumed. Governments who do not struggle to balance the trade deficit are unfortunately lumbered with a bureaucracy that is just not doing its job or is not thinking enough out of the box to elevate their status from a position of an underdog to equality. This common scenario around the world has posed a serious problem in our day and age and has kept the predominant population of the earth subservient, poor, and nailed in economic terms to the earthworm phenomenon where the head moves forward and the tail catches on. In military terms, it forces the first world to keep armies and sell human destructive arms and ammunition as the main commodity of trade. They do this to be effective for recoveries from defaulting countries and to retain a status quo of a top dog, underdog phenomena alive. We see in Japan an exception to the rule where, influenced by the Meiji culture perhaps, a nation materially destroyed after the World War rises with sheer dint of merit and hard labor to find a place among the first world players. This is commendable and exemplary, and I seek the Honorable Consul General here of Japan to accept our compliments and felicitations. Undoubtedly, Japan is a human-friendly nation that has done wonders. It is apt, when we gather here to celebrate 65 years of bilateral relations, that we leave this beautiful gathering with some fresh thoughts, both for equity in the world and with some fresh ideas wherefrom we are able to balance the balance of trade between Japan and Pakistan. In supporting the Japanese model of state management, we would like to see and support the initiation by Japan of a global protocol on the minimum level of sustenance for the struggling population of the earth, now moving from 7.6 to 8 billion people in the foreseeable future. This can and will initiate trade programs and outlook that will enable the world to shift from arms and ammunition as the principal commodity of trade, replacing it with life support commodities addressing housing, education, healthcare, and nutritional food requirements for the global population. The world needs a success story bearer like Japan to initiate and infuse this fresh breath of air for the planet. This is also required in the interest of peace and coexistence of the planet. In the case of Japan-Pakistan specific needs, we suggest that our human resources need to be uplifted with labor skills from costs that our natural resources can pay for. a string of polytechnical schools around Pakistan, and we need about 3,400 of them. We signed off under the administration of the Armed Forces of Pakistan, preferably, to convert our youngest labor force on the planet to become a valid part of the production chain in any economy. Land, labor, capital, enterprise make up for a production base anywhere, and in Pakistan, skilled labor is the missing link when compared to Japan. I have seen a huge laundry list of bilateral protocols and agreements between Pakistan and Japan, but when it comes to devising a destination with a roadmap, not all are in sync. Capital is another issue that warrants serious consideration. In this combatant world, for a race to seek supremacy for the reserve currency of the world, it is now more than incumbent for countries to peg the bilateral trade benchmark and restrict the same to the use of local currencies. This expands and extends the agreeing economies and provides evenly managed growth with contained and safe options. This option also free bilateral partners from trilateral pressures that politically restrain fair trade practices. I trust I would have contributed to a fresh view to our very friendly relations, and I wish them to grow from strength to strength. My compliments to Pakistan Observer for holding such a prestigious and strategically pertinent show, and I thank them for having provided me an opportunity to address this very learned gathering. Thank you.